In this week's episode of NDVision. You know the
Death
first time I ever talked to you?
Oh, boy.
Like reached out?
You got arrested?
Huh? No, I didn't get arrested.
I get that a lot. You know, the first time I talked to you, he goes, "You're not John." I go, "Yes, I am." He goes, "Well, who's dropping off your articles and getting your money?" I go, "That's my dad."
Yeah.
You mean we've been paying a 13-year-old kid?
Welcome to this episode. Welcome to this episode of NDVision. I'm the host, Nick Davis, and I'm joined here by someone who I've been trying to get on since I started this last year. I finally kidnapped him, literally kidnapped him in a potato sack earlier to get him on. John Anderson, how are you doing?
I'm great, other than the potato sack incident.
Well, gotta get you. I got you coffee.
Yeah, that you did.
Is it good?
I appreciate it. It is. It's, you know, I'm glad you said they don't sponsor the show, but what's not good at the Shop of Maine
It's true.
in Wellsville?
They sponsored one episode back in the day.
They did?
Yeah.
Oh, well. It's a cool place to stop in. It's just another thing that highlights our Main Street in Wellsville, doesn't it?
Yeah.
When everyone always would say, we need this, we need that, and then we got it.
I want to, real quick, while it's on my mind, did you see the post that, because, oh my gosh, what's his name? Mike Raptis parked the hot dog wagon down there that he uses in parades. Did you see all the comments just going insane? Like, we don't need another pizza or cheap food restaurant. It's like, he's just parking it there. What is happening right now? Or is he not just parking it there?
He'll probably open another restaurant.
Is he going to open another restaurant?
Absolutely, yeah.
Really?
Yes.
When's that news? Is that news? Is that exclusive?
I mean, we can figure it out. He blasts his cell phone number everywhere. Do you want to call him right now? We could just ask him live on this.
I can call him. He can come right into this podcast. We shouldn't call him right now. He'll probably be like, what is happening? John, so I like to start out by asking every guest, tell me about yourself. Where'd you grow up? Are you from here? Yeah. Let me know about yourself.
Do you know something funny about Wellsville? Or any small town in America? If you weren't born there, raised there, and went to school there, you can live there for 30 years and people are like, oh, yeah, but he's not from here. You're not a local. You know what I mean? If your family wasn't, you're not in the cemetery and this and that.
Yeah.
That's probably the coolest thing about this town. People say, you graduated from Wellsville between my brother and my sister. Or, you were a year behind me, I think, or a year ahead of me.
Right.
So that's when I realized that, man, this community's kind of embraced me. They think I'm from here.
You're not from here?
No.
I didn't even know.
No, Crapchester.
Westchester?
Oh, Rochester. I'm sorry.
Oh, Rochester.
Yeah, I went to Rush Henrietta
Okay.
High School, and I was from Rochester. And like 99.8% of Rochester back in the day, Dad worked at Xerox, Mom worked at Kodak.
Yeah.
It's just, the way it was. But my mom did other things, but...
Paychecks is out there now.
Yeah, not much else. But anyway, yeah.
Did you write notes on your childhood? Is that what you're looking
No, I was writing a lot of things that I have to do today. But my childhood, yeah.
So you're born and raised. You're born and raised in Rochester.
Yeah, it was just according to my childhood notes here. It says I was a C-section baby.
I'm from Section C as well.
Really?
Yeah.
When I leave the house, I go out the window.
Okay. This is gonna be hard to get through.
I appreciate people saying, I need this, I need that. Wellsville needs this, Wellsville needs that. I get it.
Uh-huh.
But being here for, oh my goodness, I don't know how many years I've been here, but decades.
Yep.
And working with different IDAs, working with different levels of government, working with different businesses, listening to the state, and of course talking to corporations. One thing that they see here is the income level,
Yep.
the lack of car count, and they won't come here. And so, we're talking about Mike Raptis and want to do something. Yes, Shane Vogel.
Yeah.
Opening sugar daddies. You don't think that's a big deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
But one of the other families that should, win a Lifetime Achievement Award around here is the Jettas, Bhupinder Mehta and Jet Mehta, they own the Microtel and the Dunkin' Donuts, and they own a ton of them in the Southern Tier.
Are they doing Taco Bell?
They're doing Taco Bell.
Yeah.
They invest in these small towns where no one else will bring a place. So many years ago, they wanted to put a Baskin-Robbins where the Taco Bell is. And the Baskin-Robbins people did the car count, looked at our income, and said, an ice cream place would not work here. No one would go to it. And they were like, you don't know Wellsville. They'll support us. They have to drive, and they didn't do it. Mm-hmm. So Shane has sugar daddies.
Yeah.
He took the chance where other people looked at our income. They looked at, the levels of what we do, and they wouldn't do it. Shane also has at the where Alfred State used to have their machinist program at Dresser Rand. Mm-hmm. He opened Steam Valley Sports. We have the largest indoor baseball, softball training facility, soccer in the region. And I don't think people even know it. So he's taking risks. Mike takes risks. And runnings came. I mean, that was huge. So it kind of bothers me when you hear, oh, we don't need this, we need a Target, or we need Kohl's, well, they'd be here if they wanted to be here. Mm-hmm. Walmart, they could be here. That'll be another podcast, by the way.
What?
I want to come on with Andrew Harris and debate why there's no Walmart in Wellsville, because I know the real answer, and he thinks he knows the real answer.
That's a whole nother podcast.
That's what I'm saying. It's a whole other podcast, but I think the community needs to know why there's no Walmart. And he thinks he knows we got into an argument at Dunkin' Donuts once over this, and I just thought, why are the mic should be on? But
yeah.
I'm just teasing another podcast, because this podcast here is going to be one of your lowest rated ones.
Why is that?
Because it's me.
Okay.
Last week you had Rich Shear, Rick Whitwood. That's why you're like, oh, I can't get John on these podcasts. I'm not going after these guys.
Why not?
And I was like, oh, everything's great. And then you bring in Bethany and Megan. What are you doing to me?
It's going to be a high rated podcast.
Listen, Megan, by the way, Megan Freeman.
Yeah.
I think I babysat her, and then she babysat my kids. She grew up across the street from me in Wellsville.
Oh, really?
So I knew she was destined for greatness. No, John, she's awesome too. Just talking about great people in our community. Mm-hmm. Megan, I just saw it. She kind of went through high school kind of in a daze, and then in college, she really knew what she wanted to do, and then. Oh my gosh, like this entrepreneurial spirit she has, she did it. She's done great things. She's another cool little success story, and pretty cool kids and all that good stuff. But
John, this podcast is about you, man.
Oh, well, I just want to throw that out there about businesses and that, I see these arguments all the time. We need this. Why doesn't the village bring in this place? Why doesn't the county bring in this place? Well, they can't. They can do what they can. You have the payment in lieu of taxes.
Yep.
You have that, there's only so much we can do. As for the county, there's a lot we could be doing that we haven't. We've dropped the ball on for bringing in industries and businesses. You can't just sit there and say, you got to come here and do all the work. But I just kind of wanted to throw that out there because you brought that up about what Mike needs to do. It's like,
oh no, I didn't bring it up. I didn't.
No, I know, but I'm just saying it's something that it's just something that's kind of
where was that?
It's just one of those pet peeves of mine. I think is we spend more time complaining about what we don't have when we should be celebrating what we do have. If we became the Truman Show, remember that movie?
Yeah,
Jim Carrey. We couldn't leave the village. Suddenly, maybe I'm buying my clothes here locally. And
this is what I was talking about.
Yeah.
So it has 146 comments right now. Someone just posted in the Wellsville, New York community page asking what Texas Hot is doing next to Burger King.
Yeah.
It's a community bank.
Yeah, it won't be a Texas Hot, I can tell you that. But Mike...
Why would they make a Texas Hot in this thing?
Well, Mike's a smart dude, right?
So here he goes. He commented on it.
Oh, here we go.
He's like, well, this is all intriguing. The float is just sitting there until I get time to dismantle it. I thought people would enjoy seeing it for a little while.
And that's all he said?
What do you people think about some roasted pressure cooked chicken I remember going to Red Barn and Hornell as a treat. Don't recall a restaurant. We do recognize that more people are looking for healthier ingredients in all their food items.
Did Mike say that?
Yeah, it's right here.
That's very interesting that he said that.
Why is that?
Because I've heard that from people, and that means he's listening.
What, the chicken?
Yes.
Or the healthier ingredients?
Both. I think that's great. Instead of Hello Fresh, we'll call it Hello Texas Hot South or something. I don't know, but
these comments are wild, though, man.
They are. But that's pretty fun. But getting back to Mike and his wild ideas.
Hold on.
Yes.
What made you want to become in the newspapers? I want to go back to you, man.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, come on. This is about you.
When I was 13 years old, I knew there was one of three things I was destined to do.
Okay.
And it's weird that I had picked out exactly what I was going to do. One was to pitch for the New York Yankees.
Okay.
The other was to play quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys.
Uh-huh.
And then, you always need a plan B. I was going to just probably play probably a point guard or an off guard for the New York Knicks.
So you wanted to be in sports somewhere.
Well, I knew I was going to play,
team,
right? And then I think when you get from Little League to the next level and you're playing, you're no longer playing in your town league. You're now playing against other communities in Rochester. And I was like, oh, wow, I'm going to be lucky to make my high school teams. These guys are. So there's this publication that was called the Henrietta Journal. Mm-hmm. And one of my friends said, you can write. And if you write about stories about these local summer teams and youth teams, they'll publish it. So my dad, who worked at Xerox in the city, would take my stories I would type up. Mm-hmm. We had a memory writer because he got it from Xerox. It was like one of the first typewriters. You could see the type on the screen and hit return. It was like a computer.
Was it one of those tiny little screens in the corner?
It was like this. No, it was this long right in the top, and it was called a memory writer. The thing was like this big. And
well, my mom had one that was like that big. It was white,
but
it
had a little computer screen. So anyway, I would type up the reports, give my dad. My dad would drop them off. They would say thank you, and then when he would drop off the next, like the first of the month, they'd hand him a check. And so this went on from my 8th grade year until my senior year. Now I'm starting to write about, and everyone in school is like, thank you so much for that article. And all these seniors are coming up to me as a freshman.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute. You guys like me because I wrote something nice about you?
Yeah.
I was like, wow, because they wouldn't talk to me. They're like giving me an extra milk at lunch. I mean, when they're walking up, I'm ready for them to dump the milk on my head because bullying was a thing when I was in high school.
Bullying is still a thing.
Oh, it's a frowned on thing.
Yeah. It wasn't frowned on.
It was not. It was suck it up.
Yeah.
You screw around in wrestling practice. Coach would say, I'm going to get a smoke break. And they would throw you around and then strip you down to your underwear and throw you out where the cheerleaders practice.
Whoa.
And then you'd have to go back around and go in, and they'd say, hey, that's what you get for screwing around in practice. That was back in the day. Could you imagine doing that today? You'd be expelled. You'd have to go in front of the Board of Regents. You'd have to
counsel
anyway. But that's and I'm not saying it's right. It's definitely not. Bullying sucks. I mean, I hate it. And I hate what I see right now from when kids. The kids today are. The pressure's ridiculous. The kids are going through stoning and give me this. Oh, the kids today they have it so good. No, they don't. No, they don't. My hair could be sticking up. I could be wearing my shoes the wrong way, and they would laugh about it for 1 day, 1 minute, done. Today, there's photos. They're sending it in a group text. They're ripping on you. I mean, these kids, I hate it. What they go through today, man, we didn't have to go through that. But anyway, So I was writing, and my senior year, I'm at a graduation party, and the guy who's the sports editor of the paper is a huge wrestling fan. So one of my friends I wrestled with, he was having this grad party, and the dad comes up, the original guy who told me I should be doing this, said, hey, you got to meet John. He's, done all those stories for you guys. He was like, yeah, I see him. He never talks to me, but I've seen him over the years. And he goes, you're not John. I go, yes, I am. He goes, well, who's dropping off your articles and getting your money? I go, that's my dad.
Yeah.
You mean we've been paying a 13-year-old kid? They were furious.
Yeah, really?
It was like,
how much were you getting paid per article?
Oh man, it was between that and we got rid of the Little League in Henrietta. So here I am at age 13 coaching my first Little League team.
Yeah.
We got paid. They put $18 on the field. So if no umpires showed up, we got to split the 18.
Nice.
But if 2 kids came to umpire, so it was enough for us to ride our bikes to Taco Bell, 7-Eleven, get baseball cards. It wasn't much, but man, we felt rich. So yeah. So I got to start coaching baseball at 13 and 14 years old. Absolutely, what an opportunity that
while you were writing stories.
While I was writing stories and coaching and playing, and yeah, it was a good life. It was a good upbringing. You know, it was fun. But that's so. Then my senior year, the school newspaper didn't exist. So again, Dad works at Xerox. I got a copy machine. I got that memory writer. I started my own underground school newspaper.
Did you really?
And nobody knew who did it, and we had homerooms back then. And I'd hire freshmen for like $1 a piece to hand out. They were my circulation managers. I'd stand at all the entrances of the school, handing them out.
Really?
In the morning, and people would say, "Where did you get those from?" And they'd say, "I don't know, man. They're here. I'm just handing them out," because they knew that $1. Right. They had to keep quiet. They're not getting that $1 next week. So
Cracker Jacks.
Yeah, finally, word got out. The gym, there's always that one cool gym teacher. Everyone finally told him. I did it. He told the principal. Principal brought me in, and it was the whole, hey, listen, keep doing it, but let's make it positive. Stop making it such a National Lampoonish.
Okay, I was just wondering how you could get in trouble for just writing a school newspaper.
It wasn't really like trouble, but we would have things like the rumor column, like who's going to ask who to the prom. We would guess stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you have like you're doing a story on the mayor, so you put a photo of the mayor with your story. So when I did a story on people, I used the headshot that everybody would not want to be used.
Yeah.
Middle school yearbook photos. That was the only.
What did you do? Did you take a photo of them and then print them? Because back then it wasn't digital.
I had the copier.
Did you cut them out?
No, I had a copy machine. I had a copy machine in my house. I had a memory writer. I had cameras. I could produce my own stuff as a teenager. I could produce my own publication. The only thing I didn't do was sell ads.
Was there a sports writer that you looked up to? They tried to be.
That's a good thing. I mean, they're like tons of Bob Matthews at the Rochester Democrat Chronicle and Times Union. I just loved his mix of national and local stuff. Then Leo Roth was with the paper. All these, the funny thing is, I get hired as a 22-year-old sports editor here at the Wellsville Daily Reporter. And Friday night, I covered Wellsville at Bolivar football. The first thing I covered
when was this?
92.
Because you were a senior in high school.
92.
And then did you go to school?
Yeah, I went to school in Batavia in South Carolina and learned absolutely nothing about journalism.
You went to school for journalism.
Yeah, but it was like a retired English teacher would teach journalism 101. But the most important thing at the top. Okay, right. You all got an A. Unfortunately, I didn't go to a good journalism school, but I learned on the job. But so my first thing I covered was a cross-country match at Bolivar. And I remember Bill Sorter called the paper and said, we need someone. And I was brand new. I go, I'll come over. And I went over and shot it. And then Friday it was Wellsville Bolivar football. Mike Clark broke his foot that game, I think. It was the first game of the year, and that really screwed up Wellsville's season. And then Sunday, I'm covering the Bills game. And I'm like
at the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah. I mean, and my seat is front row, press box, 50-yard line right in the middle. And Leo Roth is sitting to my left. Chuck Pollock from the Olean paper is there. I'm like, all these writers, and I look around, Peter King, Rick Riley, like all these, Jeff Pearlman, all these incredible writers I've always looked up to. They're all like, wow. And then, you have obviously the TV broadcasters and,
but how did you go from Rochester to going to school in the Carolinas to Wellsville, New York, to the Wellsville Daily Reporter? Like, how'd that happen?
I have to tell that story, do I?
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to, but I want you to. Sorry for whoever's eardrums just got blown out. But yeah, how did you get into Wellsville Daily Reporter?
Well, I was in college in Batavia.
Okay.
I'm playing baseball. And we had some really good summer teams that were kind of like the Nitros. Mm-hmm. And some of my friends were from Belfast and Fillmore. And they said, you got to come down to the Southern Tier and play in this Buffalo Suburban News League. They call it Town Team Baseball. And I'm like, yeah, be kidding me. I'm not going down there. What the heck's down there? One stoplight towns. And this, that. So I was kind of fighting it. And they're like, come on, man. It's only like 15 minutes from Rochester.
Right.
Well, once you hit Mount Morris, you're not turning around, and it's downhill.
Yeah.
So I get there and I get to play in the first game and we're in Belfast and I look around and I'm like, where am I? Because in Rochester, you've got guys who are major league talent, like playing Division I baseball. We're playing at Genesee Valley Park in Rochester at night. Mm-hmm. There's 7 people there, maybe a dad, a girlfriend, a mom. Not many people are watching. Here I'm in Belfast. There's a mix of people from age 16 to 49 playing on these teams, and the grandstand's full.
Yeah,
people are lined up and down the first base line, sitting on coolers of beer, listening to NASCAR on their transistor radios. It was a thing. Not every NASCAR race was televised, so they were listening to it on their. The whole town would come out and support these, and I'm like, wow! It's like the movie Field of Dreams. Like I've heard of these days back in the 50s.
Yeah,
this is still going on in the 80s and 90s, and I'm like, and they cheer and they chant your name, and I'm like, wow! I've died and gone to heaven here. So I couldn't wait to do this, to play baseball here and then I wind up marrying a girl from Belfast, and Casey and I we were deciding if we were going to live in Rochester or where. We wound up starting in Belfast because somebody gave us a trailer we could live in for free for 6 months between Belfast and Angelica.
Yeah,
as long as we fixed it up. And then
double wide or single wide?
What's that?
Double wide or single wide?
It was a double, because I know some of my friends had the single with the pull-out porch.
Yep.
But ours, I'm pretty sure it was a double.
Nice.
I don't remember. We weren't there long. We wound up moving into town, but then, again, another breaking point in life is like, where do we move? Olean. Because I started work. I went from Wellsville to the Olean paper, and then we bought a house in Wellsville, and so...
That's what my wife and I did, kind of. She was going to school down in Philadelphia and doing her student teaching, like in inner city. And there was like kids in 4th grade who obviously failed or got held back a few times. But they were like pregnant. There's kids seeing their parents overdose or get shot and stuff. And we're like, no. And that's when we decided to move back. That was one of the major things, that we didn't want to raise a family down in.
No, I was the opposite. I didn't want to be here. There's no opportunities here for me. And again, looking at my childhood dreams of wanting to play professional sports, I wanted to go right from college to the New York Times, to the Boston Globe, to the Rochester Democrat Chronicle. Like I wanted to go.
Everybody wants
immediately.
To do that.
And I was pretty frustrated. Now I'm here and I'm unemployed. I'm living in a trailer, and she was waiting tables at Mean Gene's truck stop on the corner of 19 and 305. Was
that like the Iron Skillet or Iron Kettle or whatever it was?
No, that was at the actual truck stop.
Okay.
So it was kind of rough, and then we have a kid on the way, and he's not yet born. I get 3 job offers in the same morning between 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. Mm-hmm. Chuck Pollock calls and offers me 38 hours a week to write sports. The Cuba Patriot wanted me to write news, and then I get a call about the sports editor job in Wellsville. Mm-hmm. Little did I know the sports editor job was going to pay less than the other 2. But I was like, ooh.
It was sports.
Editor. Yeah, right. Editor. Ooh, editor. Means you do all the work.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I started, and fortunately, I've realized that it doesn't matter where you live or what you do, you can be amongst the best in the world. Mm-hmm. So, I don't have to go to the Boston Globe or whatever. So that was it. And
that was back in 92.
Yeah, it was, back in 92. So I guess and we had 3 kids and divorced, and I am probably one of the upper whatever percentages where my ex-wife is like one of my best friends. Mm-hmm. it's just awesome. Like, she's such a great person, and she's remarried with 2 other kids. I coached one of them in Little League and stuff. So
did they call you Papa John?
My grandkids call me Papa John.
Do they really?
That was Brendan, my oldest, calls. I happen to be at a concert, a Rex concert. My son's in the band, and we're in the green room before the show. It was my daughter, me, and the band, and we get the call from Brennan. All right, guys, I'm glad you're all together. Mm-hmm. You're gonna be an uncle. You're gonna be an aunt. And everyone said, I'm like, oh my God, congratulations, my son, and we're all cheering.
So this is recent then?
No, this was when my first granddaughter was. When they found out about my first granddaughter.
How long ago was that?
7 years ago.
Oh,
so they knew she was.
I'm just old.
Well, they knew she was pregnant, right? They're gonna have a kid, so they were like, "Congratulations, you're gonna be an uncle, you're gonna be an aunt," and I'm kind of doing the whole Homer Simpson backing into the bush thing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, someone said, "Wait, you're gonna be a grandfather?" I was like, "Oh, I'm too young to be a grandfather." And they go, "What are they gonna call you?" Oh, and the guys are all like saying funny names. I'm on the phone with Brendan, and someone's like, "Oh, you're gonna be like Papa. You're gonna be Grandpa John," and all of a sudden, it's like everybody at the same time go, "Papa John."
Papa John.
Like, so yeah.
How good are your pizzas?
Oh, with the garlic crust, they're not bad.
Yeah.
I worked at Domino's, by the way.
My wife loved Papa John. I actually love Domino's.
I don't, not anymore. But I worked at Domino's for a few years, and I used to have to make calzones. I used to make different things, and they would yell at me and say, "This is just pizza and Coke and Diet Coke, and that's it. We'll never do or make anything else because we have our 30-minute guarantee.
Yeah.
Stop with your stupid calzones and trying to make breads." I was trying to make like these flatbreads and stuff. Look at their menu now. Sons of guns.
What was it like in the 90s in the paper? Because papers were still massive at that time still. What was, when did you see, the buildup and the decline happen, obviously with the internet, I'm assuming?
Yeah, if we knew what we knew now, we would have all got together in one room and said, okay, we're going to charge for the online thing, and we're going to charge for, everyone's going to have about the same price, even though some of you guys are going to be a little better. You're going to have the higher end newspapers, you're going to have the Beef and Barrel and Beef House of newspapers, but then you're going to have the Dollar Generals of newspapers. So there's going to be a disparity in pricing, but we all have to charge. And then we'll all shake hands and smoke our cigars and walk away. Nobody knew what to do. So the New York Times does a paywall right off the bat. Everyone else is like, I don't know, do we do one? No, we don't. Then they do one where, you can read 4 stories and you got to pay. But
what time was that? What time frame was that?
So, again, this was in 99, 98.
They started doing paywalls way back in.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And it started, but everyone else was like, let's just put a couple stories on there because we don't want to hurt our print edition. That was always the big thing.
Yep.
Don't want to hurt the
same
print.
thing with Kodak and digital cameras.
Don't want to hurt the print. Let's just do, and I remember coding for the website. It was type in news01.txt.
Yeah.
And then photo01.txt would go with news01.
And you had to write all that.
You'd have to type those in and then upload. And now there's more. There's way more when I have to upload to either a blog site or a website. Because I work with a lot of publications around the country now where I'm helping them grow their websites and social media. It's a lot of people. Yes, I understand the algorithms. I do work on that a lot. Like I do a lot with businesses now. Like I'm just setting up 2 Facebook pages for a business, a new business that needs help, and helping them with the website, and making sure all the keywords are there. But the bottom line is, if you have great content, you're going to go. And I said that, I see these businesses, they don't understand the internet machine, and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to pay $2,000 for this setup." I'm like, you should just pay us to advertise. Click a link on our site, and it goes to your site. No, we don't want to advertise with you. We want to just promote our site. We're going to pay all this money and take all these ads on the radio and TV to promote our website. We have a good radio guy, Bob Mangles.
Oh, no. So, I'm not putting the radio down. I'm who does great radio ads still? Who's a masterclass? Walker Metal Smiths.
Yes,
it's still a master class in radio ads. But
I did start in radio and TV, by the way. But
you're skipping all this stuff,
I had
John.
someone tell me, it sat me down, you don't have the voice for radio or the face for TV. And that's when I focused on writing. And the funny thing is, I was the voice of the Lions for 28 years.
Yeah.
I call in games on the radio, and I've done so much with
Was that AM 790 or
AM 790 WL is. And no, I mean, like I said, it started with Jack Murphy and then Bob Mangles and Rich Mangles and Peter. Just what a great people, great family. Bob Funner has his station.
Yep.
And over the years, different people who work for him were always like, we're going to hire you. And it was, but something about JQZ, LSV always had, they were always consistent.
Yeah.
Always, but anyway, that was, boy, we're off on a tangent now. I don't even know what we're.
Eric Jones.
Yeah. Eric Jones is calling me.
Pick it up. He's going to be on.
He's got to be on your podcast.
He is. Yeah.
Oh, boy. Are we really doing this?
Hold it up to the
mic. Eric, hey, by the way, you're live. I'm taping a podcast, so you're live. What's going on?
Oh, I'm live.
Yes, you're live on my podcast. What's your question?
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad you said that. I could have said the wrong thing. Hey, I wanted to run something by you, get your opinion. I just pitched this to Celino.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of, because I had 500 comments on my Facebook when I asked people to guess what the sculpture was going to be, and one guy got it right. So I'm going to put his name with the winning answer on the Celino Facebook page and then divert everyone to that.
That's a good idea. And this is for the sculpture at the Mafia House?
This is it. No, this is the one at
Canal Side. That's right. I forgot you're doing two things.
I'm going to do Mafia House too. So I'm molding this now. I'm going to go live, I think, from here and do the same thing. We'll make every one of them a contest. That diverts more people to the Celino site. You good with that?
Yeah. So a lot of people know Eric Jones, who does those sand and snow and ice sculptures. But September 22nd, he is going to be on season 14 of Halloween Wars, right? All-Star Pumpkin Edition. Is that right, Eric?
Yes, it is.
And he's going to be on this podcast.
That week. So
make sure you remind me, John. I can't think one day ahead. I'm just too busy.
I will. Well, between flying to LA to shoot your Food Network shows and then coming back to make a Josh Allen sculpture in Belmont, it's a tough job, but we appreciate you.
Small town podcast.
I can't decide which I like better, Belmont or LA.
Yeah, well, I know you like Belmont better. I'm going to, by the way, when we hang up, I'm going to tell your Food Network story about when they didn't recognize you. So.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, we're going to let him tell it.
Oh, he won't tell it. I will, because it makes fun of him.
Oh, you go ahead and tell it.
I'm going to. All right. Thank you.
Hey, you guys have a wonderful time.
All right. Bye-bye. So I got to know Eric Jones. Actually, I covered him when he played sports at Richburg.
Yeah.
When I was at the paper. So that's when I knew him and his brother. And it seems like every time I was doing some marketing with something, whether it was with the Bills or I'm running into Eric, and we're both from Allegheny County. And then Eric's like, man, let's just work together instead of bumping into each other. So that's why he's calling me. Like he's
you're his bookie, right?
I would say I'm something. It's funny, but
you love talking about other people more than you like talking about yourself, huh?
Oh, I can talk about myself.
It's like you're a writer.
But I got to tell you that, I know you were asking me about the newspaper, but listen, I got to tell you the Eric Jones story.
All right, go ahead.
You guys are going to love this. So the first time, he's a 2-time champion on the Food Network. Mm-hmm. So this thing he's going to be on is All Stars. So it's like where Chopped brings back all the champions on Food Network. They're bringing back all the champions from the first 13 seasons to battle it out. So for carving pumpkins. But the first time he was on the show, they knew they had this incredibly talented artist from New York coming in. Mm-hmm. They were so excited. He gets through the front gate. He goes in through the producers. Everyone lets him in. And he's standing there. And, he was kind of joking. Well, what do I like better, LA or Bell? Well, he's wearing jeans and a plaid shirt and probably a John Deere or,
Bass Pro Shop.
Bass Pro Shop hat, or probably, or Dollar General, right? Or Runnings or whatever. So he's standing there, and one of the producers, they're like trying to get everyone together. They go, oh, there he is. And he's like, yeah, sorry. They go, no, it's fine. It says, so you're going to be on camera too. They thought he was a camera operator. And he goes, I'm on the show. I'm Eric Jones. I go, you're the artist from New York City. They're like, he's like, I'm not from New York City. They were expecting the opposite of what Eric looks like. That's all,
like button up, all
right, all like an all like really
leather
bougie,
shoes,
black,
outfit
with, like flowing hair and all, and just no, it was. They did not.
I could picture Eric with a mullet.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So that's they got.
I hope he listens to this.
So, but Eric will tell you this on your podcast.
Yeah.
The Food Network did change their policy now. You don't just send in headshots anymore. You have to send in video.
Yeah.
So they could actually see him.
Right.
Like they just saw a clean cut headshot and I was like, that's not him. Yeah. So anyway, I thought you'd find that funny. But
it was funny.
So anyway, back to the newspapers. We didn't know what we were doing with the whole online thing, but content matters and good content. And that's what I'm trying to work with publications with now around the country. Hey, let's start doing better stories, better headlines, more interesting things about people in the community that, you don't know. And I think
a lot of people think that you're like the sole person for Wellsville Sun.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's my fault. And Andrew loves to joke about that. Andrew Harris does so much work. I mean, people are emailing him stuff about events, about things going on, and he spends so much time getting that incorrectly in the system and posting it and doing all the stuff. And then I come around.
Oh, I thought you said getting that incorrectly.
Yeah. Oh, no, he does that too.
No, incorrectly, not incorrectly.
No.
Got it.
Yeah, he gets it in.
That's why I laughed.
Correctly. No, he does both. He's he's not a journalist, but if anyone remembers the old Better Days blog,
yeah,
Monday mornings, if he posted on the Better Days blog about what happened over the weekend, businesses in town shut down.
Right.
And everyone read it, not only to laugh, but to cringe, hoping, please don't mention me not paying my bill because I was drunk or tripping over something or whatever. Like, and
this is the second podcast in a row that Better Days was brought up.
Yeah, well, it was a great place.
It was.
And so I already knew he could write.
Right.
He has this flair. He has a style. And I think not being a journalist really resonates with people because he's not, I don't think he doesn't write down to anybody. He's writing at our level. And that's something I've kind of learned from him. I've learned from everybody.
Yeah.
When I was at the Olean paper, Joe Marin.
When were you at the Olean paper?
94 to 2003.
Okay, hold on. This timeline is confusing me. So
you
went to school. You started in Wellsville, 92-ish.
92 to 94, yeah.
92 to 94.
I could not afford to keep working at the Reporter.
Right.
And they on the Times Herald faxed me at night because you want to be careful about meddling with other. So they knew I was working sports at night all alone, and the editor, Tom Donahue, faxed me from the Times Herald newsroom to the Reporter newsroom. John called me. I got and
now is this when Oak Duke was editor?
Oak Duke he was publisher.
Okay.
Becky Sutton was the editor.
Okay.
And I hated leaving Becky because she was awesome. Our corporation did a story on Becky and I. Becky and I were the youngest sports editors in the country.
Wow.
So it was pretty cool and did a pretty darn good job. Neil Simon was writing for us. Awesome reporter. Kelly Dickerson had been the editor, and then she also realized I got to make other money going somewhere else. But it was a pretty cool place, and but I was like I had to make more money, and they offered me a job doing news. I go, news? I've never written news in my life. And I'm like, I'm not doing it. And then they say how much you're going to pay me. I was like,
I'll do it.
I'm going to learn news.
Yeah.
And the publisher,
how much did they pay you back then?
Wow, I went from $250 a week before taxes.
Yeah.
All the way up to $330 a week.
Wow, that's quite an increase.
Huge.
Yeah. Especially in the 90s.
I remember Chuck Ward, the late publisher of the Times Herald, he said to me,
you say $350 a week?
No, $330.
$330, okay.
Oh boy, we're gonna find out what this is a year.
Yeah, it's okay. Keep going.
The old publisher of the Times Herald said, covering news is going to be as exciting as a Packers-Bears game. And I'm thinking of football in the 50s, but boy, was he right. So 18.2, that sounds about right.
18.2, 94. But I don't know what that is for inflation.
Okay, but we were never paid. People see us on TV, they see on the radio, hear you on the radio, they see in the newspaper, they assume that you're loaded. We do this because we love it. And you kind of asked about the Wellsville Sun. It's the same thing. I just do it because I love it. When I had left, so I came back to Wellsville, by the way. Oak Duke and Kelly Lovison brought me back as an editor. Gatehouse, which is now Gannett, saw me as a regional editor. I didn't realize this, but they had a plan for me to take over Wellsville, Hornell, Bath. I did work in Corning, Dansville. So
you've hopped around then.
Well, I was at the same time I did these.
Yeah.
So when I went up to Batavia Daily News to be the editor for a couple of years, I was like, okay, one paper. But then I went back down to Texas, and now I'm running 5 papers. So, but while I'm in Texas
what town was that?
I was in Tyler and Longview.
Tyler. I knew it was like a first name.
Yeah.
Also, real quick, 18,095 would be 37,000 today.
Yeah, that would probably be what they would start somebody at today.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the newspaper. Imagine what your debt is from 4 years of college.
I know.
That's why I taught at Bonaventure. I was doing some adjunct professor stuff, and I asked one of the classes, how many of you are going into newspapers? Nobody raised their hand.
Yeah.
It was all PR, marketing, maybe ESPN. They all wanted to work, for a team, an actual team, but not.
For camera operators, at least for me, NFL Films is like the holy grail. Because what are you always going to have?
Right.
Even through COVID, what did you always have?
Right.
It's job security.
Yeah, that's true. No, that's good stuff. But when I was in Texas, that's when they closed the Wellsville paper, and the Times Herald kind of pushed away from here.
But you were the chief editor for Daily Reporter, right? Before you left for Tyler.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I also knew they were going to be closing the paper.
Yeah.
And I knew they were going to close the building in Hornell. I had taken over as publisher for a short spell, and I was in a meeting. I was supposed to be in the meeting as a publisher, but I was only an interim publisher. And I got to hear the stuff that they were planning, and I said, "What are you guys talking about?" And they were like, "Who invited this guy?"
Yeah.
Like, we got to make money for our stockholders. We got to make money for our bottom line. And my boss was in the room. He's based out of Corning, Arrowmeyer, and he puts his arm around me. And he's like, oh, guys, John, he's not one of us. Like, he's just here as an interim publisher. Don't worry. I'll set him straight. He goes, John, to close a paper, you got to file stuff with the government. It takes a year to... 1 year from that date, they closed the paper.
Wow.
So I knew it was happening. So I left. I didn't want to be part of this. How could I face this community that's done so much for me, so much for my kids, in like, oh, we're closing an institution? And I was like, I don't want any part of this. And I left. So while I'm in Texas, I just noticed good people doing good things are not getting recognized. Mm-hmm. Good people pass away, and all we get is a obituary. And I was just like, I wonder if I could write something from Texas that would resonate with people in Wellsville. And then it happened. Pat McKinley passes away. Mm-hmm. And I was like, all right, I got to write something. And I just, from sitting there at night, it was, I don't know, 10, 11 o'clock at night. I just wrote something from the heart about Pat and sent it to Andrew. Mm-hmm. Next morning, my goodness, it just blew up. Like, people read it, loved it. And that was one of the things that I've loved doing. And again, I learned from these people. I was just saying at the Times Herald, I had Joe Marin was an editor. He's running the journalism department at Buffalo State. Tom Donahue went over to Bonaventure. Pat Vecchio was a professor of journalism. He was one of my editors. Rick Josiak, Tom Missel, who's over at Bonaventure. George Nashis was our business editor, one of the best in the country. John Ebert and Rick Miller, two of the best writers covering city government and county. And then in the sports department, Chuck Pollack, who's a multinational Associated Press Writer of the Year. Jim Malero, who loved local sports. Tom Roof, Gary Maloney, like, these guys were the best in the business. Photographers. Mm-hmm. I learned from the photographers. Dave, Daryl, Tracy. It's interesting. Tracy Reardon, who's doing lifestyles, features on people. She's actually now working for Cattaraugus, Allegheny Bosse's and doing PR a couple days a week for Wellsville School. Oh, wow. So it's kind of cool that it's kind of come full circle. And it's cool to see they're still involved. But I'm telling you, you talk about going to college and paying money. I was getting paid to work at this newspaper with the best in the So I learned about this writing style. I learned from people like Chuck and Pat and Tom, which is, so my goal when I write these pieces is I want to, if someone passes away or someone does something good, I want to write something about these people that even their family and neighbors didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
And
you should have wrote a story about my mom.
Darn. This is sad. I didn't realize who your mom was until I realized who your mom was.
You knew my mom?
I didn't know who she was because I saw your posts and your stuff later in life.
Yeah.
Then now you've been posting stuff of her and you're young. I'm like, oh my God, that's your mom. Like she's a different.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, disease took a toll on her, right? Or
right.
whatever. I don't know what
it
she
was
died
cancer.
from.
Yeah.
My dad died of cancer.
Yeah.
So your whole body. But that's what you remember.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's so cool. You're posting these photos.
Tuesdays.
I'm telling you, man.
All the grandkids used to call her Tutu.
So you're posting these things about your mom. It's like, oh my gosh, I know. Yeah, that's the person I need to write about.
Right.
The person yes, there are lessons people teach us later in life, but the stuff that your mom did, the foundation she gave your family, the things she did for the community when she was younger, it's like, that's
right.
That was pretty cool. But I will say this to you, and I do remember commenting this. This is kind of your fault. That obituary was tremendous.
Really?
Yeah, you guys did that was a beautiful obituary. That told quite the story of her life. That was good. A lot of people, the obituaries are very cold and callous. They were born, they died, they worked at the button factory. And
yeah, John wrote that. So when for those who
John
don't,
Emser.
Yeah, when someone passes,
awesome too.
They you come into whatever funeral home it may be, and they work on the obituary with you. And then, so that's what it was. That was the baseline, was all just the basic information. And then he sent it to me, and I could just add tiny little pieces. I didn't want to do too much because
John Emser,
he's a legend.
He should do this for a living.
What?
I'm just joking. He does that for a living.
Yeah.
That's the other part about newspapers. We just become cynical. It's terrible. Like, just because death happened every day. We would deal with
death. The first time I ever talked to you?
Oh, boy.
Like, reached out?
You got arrested?
Huh? No, I didn't get arrested.
I get that a lot. The first time I talked to you.
No, so you had, this was almost exactly 10 years ago, actually, because you had wrote a post about the death of Robin Williams. And I commented on it, and I don't exactly remember what I said, but you were not happy with it.
With your comment?
Yeah, with what I commented.
Or Robin Williams dying?
No, with my comment.
Probably both.
Or something. Because I think I was like the 90s kid growing up, so I had like a different opinion on Robin. And you had all like his Nanu, the 70s, 80s stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I don't remember what it was, but it wasn't anything vicious, but you responded something like, oh, I've been writing for 25 years or something like that. Or something. Oh yeah, you're mad.
What a pretentious jerk I was. Maybe I didn't like you keyboard warriors. Nick, I'd like for you to tell me that story to my face instead of see, you're sitting behind your phone.
Hold on,
You're not really looking this up.
I am. There's no way I'll find it because the paper is down now.
Oh, the newspaper.
Yeah. That was the Daily Reporter. But that was my first interaction with you, and I was like, wow, he's angry.
The first thing that pops up is nature photos from Andrew Harris on my thing.
Oh, nice.
That's funny.
Hornell Evening Tribune, Cuba.
Richard Caruso comes up next.
Who's Richard Caruso?
Richard Caruso's from Hornell, and he was a corrections officer in California.
Let me just admire this photo real quick.
Is that Harry Potter?
John.
So you commented on that story I wrote about Robin Williams?
Yeah.
Can't believe that came up.
I don't even think it wasn't even a negative comment.
You should have Richard Caruso on your podcast.
I think I said I wish that you wrote more about his 90s. 90s
yeah, you know what? You're like the guys at the Catalina wine mixer. You're bitching because they're playing only 80s Billy Joel songs.
Now listen, I love 80s Billy Joel.
Right. You're that guy. You're the band. Oh, sorry, we're only playing 80s Billy Joel. Oh man, Piano Man, The Stranger. No.
But then I actually got to know you. And I was like, oh, John's actually a really nice guy.
That is, I think, what a lot of people say. A lot of people don't like me, but they don't know me.
Right.
And it's like, listen, you're not going to like me, but at least get to know me, and then you'll realize.
I mean, you do. You have the job of reporting on stories.
You have to have an edge sometimes. You have to have an opinion. And again, I'm a columnist.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of winning National Columnist of the Year twice while I was here.
Yeah.
Again, it shows it doesn't matter where you're writing from.
Right.
But I'm writing about things around here, people around here, and it's so you kind of have to show an opinion. It's different from a news story, but that's kind of what I do with the Wellsville Sun. I see a story I like, I do it. It's that simple. Like, I don't write for them full time. I do a million other things, but I do contribute a lot. And one thing I'm incredibly proud of the Hornell Sun and the Wellsville Sun. Andrew was joking about, the amount of people on the site. And so I started looking at the analytics through the website, and we got up to 225,000 unique visitors over 28 days.
Yeah.
Then it gets to 275,000, which translated into 1 million page views. So of those 275,000 people, they clicked on enough stories for 1 million page views in 28 days.
It's huge.
Huge. And then sponsors loved it. They absolutely, the people who are taking out ads on the site were like, wow. And I'm grateful for those people who advertise on the site, because Andrew does not want to do a paywall, wants to keep it completely free. Again, I worked for papers that they saw the same thing. Million was not a big deal. If I didn't hit 1 million page views when I was in Batavia or Texas, I'd lose my job.
Right.
But in a village of 5,000 to hit the 1 million. So we would look at these people and say, well, wait a minute. If we hit a paywall and only 2 or 3% or 7% paid of the 1 million, we'll make a ton of money. And that's what they would do. So I think, again, you threw up that thing showing if you made 18,000 a few years ago, you're making 37 today. 1 million people just read what I wrote. I want that.
Right.
Yes, I want that doubled. Absolutely. I'd rather see $80,000, $90,000 or what people are actually worth. But I think that's what drives journalists is, man, that many people are seeing,
Are you looking when you? I do have some questions for you, but first off, are you looking for a viral post? Like when you see a story come up, are you like, this is going to go massive?
Absolutely.
You have to.
And I'm going to tell you something. when I write a story or do a shoot, because I've had videos that have had 50 million views. So when I do a video or a YouTube thing or a story, 10 times out of 10, when I say this is going to go viral, I'm not kidding, Nick. 10 times out of 10, it doesn't do crap.
Yep. That's how the stuff that you try really hard on. This has been brought up before on the
8 seconds of Taylor Swift smiling and Kelsey slamming a beer that I'm shooting from my phone with people getting in the way.
Yeah.
That thing gets me on Barstool, ESPN, millions of hits. And it's like
the stuff that you try really hard on. Doesn't go as
8-second video we did. I work with this media group at Alfred State. It's Alfred State Bandwagon on Instagram and TikTok. An 8-second video, one of the coaches puts his arm around a kid and says, there's 3 certainties in life: death, taxes, and 32 getting in the end zone.
Right.
44 million views.
What was that story? I think Andrew was talking about it, where you were getting on a plane and you kept procrastinating getting on the plane, and as soon as you got on the plane, it went insane, but you had no idea.
That was two years ago. Hornell baseball is in the. This was funny. It's had to do with my son Nick. Mm-hmm. He was doing a Rex he was playing Troubadour.
Nick is a fantastic name, by the way.
Nick, it's
a great name.
Well, hello, we knew what we were doing. You know, I remember telling Casey, there's this jerk who commented on my Robin Williams post. We need to name our second born after him.
Yeah.
And the ice stays colder at Shop at Maine. The Shop at Maine. Anyway.
So the airplane story.
So I'm getting ready to go see Nick, his band, play at the Troubadour. And I scheduled a flight out of Rochester, which I normally don't fly out of, because I was helping Denny Miles coach Avoca Prattsburg baseball at the time. Mm-hmm. And we're in the sectional finals. And Denny was like, you got a flight? Like, yeah, I didn't know. They moved our game because of rain. Mm-hmm. And I was like, as soon as the game ends, I got to go right to Rochester. I'm praying we don't go extra innings. We win the sectional title. And instead of just leaving, I was like, oh, you got to stick around and take some pictures. Yeah. But I couldn't do the whole fire truck ride and stuff. I was kind of bummed. But I'm in my uniform driving up to Rochester. And as I'm pulling into the long-term parking, you got to wait for the shuttle bus. And I look at my phone, and Peisch Sports had posted the Hornell game. Kid drops the third strike, looks over his shoulder at the umpire, looks to him like the umpire's calling out. The umpire's calling safe. He puts the ball in his back pocket because that's the championship ball, runs and dives on his pitcher, and everyone dog piles on him, and they're all celebrating. And the other team is realizing, wait, he called safe. He said he didn't catch the ball.
Right.
So kid on second is running around. And the kid on first is running around. And the kid who struck out, he starts running around. And the second baseman from Hornell is the only one who realized, oh my gosh. And he's sprinting, going, where's the ball? Where's the ball? And then I think someone said it's in the catcher's pocket. And so he's running towards the pile. I thought he was going to try to rip the kid's pants off. And all of a sudden, kid scores. And it was Pal Mac. They're wearing red jerseys and gray pants. Hornell's wearing red jerseys and gray pants.
Oh, jeez.
So Hornell's all jumping and celebrating. Pal Mac scores a run. They're all jumping and celebrating. And then their celebration kind of melds into the Hornell. Everyone, and then all of a sudden the coaches are all arguing with the umpires. And Peisch says one of the greatest lines I've ever heard, like Miracle on Ice. I don't know what's happening. Poor guy, because you talk about viral.
Yeah.
That video blew up. So I get a hold of Peisch. I was like, I'm going to use a part of your video. And he's like, yeah. So I texted to my family, and my son Brennan was like, Dad, this edit's terrible. Now it's funny because my daughter Rayanna and Nick are huge social media people. Editing videos, they're just doing incredible. They teach me all the time. They look at my videos, Dad, that sucks. So they make me better.
Yeah.
Brendan, it's not, he's the one who actually edited the video and said, here. And
Brendan, you're the black sheep, I guess. So
yeah. My coworkers in Batavia, when I would say, "Oh, my son Brennan's," like, who? But he likes it that way.
Yeah,
he doesn't like me posting photos and telling stories about him and everything else. But I'm very proud of him.
Yeah.
So, he's a poster child for Alfred State. He was number one in their machinist program and got a great job at Lufkin.
Yeah,
didn't even have to finish college and graduate number one in his class for that and the math skills and the things he learned at college is what has made him great at what he does. But anyway,
he edited this
video, and so I'm got my laptop open, and they're calling now boarding members of military, anyone who's handicapped, and anyone who's bougie enough to be part of. That's your phone. Anyone bougie enough to be part of our, miles program. So I'm typing up what happened, and I'm realizing 90% of the people who read this are not gonna, I'm gonna talk to you guys now, are not gonna realize what happened because it's a drop third strike to end a game. So you got to explain baseball terms. Why is this such a huge deal that this has never happened before? Well, it maybe has, but nothing like this with two teams thinking they both won at the same time.
Right.
And so I had to write it this way. So then Brendan sends me a video. I'm uploading it to the Wells of Sun YouTube channel to get this little clip on.
Yeah.
And I embed it into the story, and I'm waiting, and it's uploading, almost like War Games, waiting for it to upload, or the movie Office Space. You're just, and they're like, now it's group 7, group 8, and I'm like group 4. It's
Yeah.
like, and they're like, we'll be closing the cabin, and I'm like, and I'm watching it upload. I was like, yeah. So I just shut my laptop, throw it in my bag, in my baseball pants,
Yeah.
jump on the plane, and
So it had finished uploading before you went on the plane.
it did like probably as I was closing the laptop or however the internet works.
Yeah.
It's a cloud, I heard.
Oh.
So anyway, now I'm no service. And I land in LA, and the video has like 275,000 views, and the story is just
How long was your flight from Rochester to LA?
3 hours, like 3.5 hours or something like that. I don't know what it was, but it was maybe about 4.
Yeah.
But then the thing just started hitting the millions, and the story was our #1 story on our website for the whole year.
Mm-hmm.
The cool thing, the kid from Hornell, the catcher who did that, the catcher from the New York Yankees reached out to him. And
from the Yankees.
Yes.
Wow.
And the Yankees had the Hornell coach and the seniors go to a game and sit in their private box and meet the team and meet the players, and just to say, hey, mistakes happen.
Right.
Don't, because those kids and those coaches, they got crucified online. And I've had that happen to me.
Yeah.
When you have a nation crucifying you, it is awful.
Right.
It is awful. The internet's, I've had, during the election in 2020, I've been crucified. And it's, you have people from all over the country, and they're calling you, and they're posting your cell phone and your address and saying horrible things. And so, and these kids were getting terrible things said about them. And so it was good for the Yankees to do. I appreciated that,
Yeah, it boosts their morals because,
Yeah, and that's I kept following up on the story to say that because the whole world read the initial story, but those kids and those families are going to read the next one and the next one. So I wanted to make sure I kept writing positive stuff about them. So, but
what's been your favorite story that you've ever done? I don't mean, and I'm not talking like your most viral story. What's your favorite story, top of your head, that you've ever done throughout your career?
It would have to go in pieces. Like for a column, it was probably my first one that went huge, and that was on, I think his name was Dwayne Duell. He used to work at Giant Food Mart. He used to talk to the bread.
Okay.
And mumbled a lot and talked to the bread. And hi, and he talked to you. And older, worked at Giant for years. And when he died, I wrote a column about him. And it was one of my first columns. I was at the Times Herald. That was when I was first getting into column writing. And the editor, I think it was Pat Vecchio, wrote the headline that how Dwayne left an indelible mark. A giant of a man left an indelible mark on Wellsville. It was a great headline.
Yeah.
And it was so well received. I could not believe how many lives the guy who talks to the bread and stocks the dairy at Giant Food Mart had. Nobody knew him. Nobody knew anything about him, where he lived, who his parents were, nothing, but they loved the guy.
Yeah.
And they knew every time they went to Giant, he would be there. And Giant started, they framed that column on a really nice thing. And then the Berardi's realized, hey, let's do a scholarship. And they started a scholarship in this guy's name.
Wow.
About people who make a difference. And, you just kind of keep your head down and do your job. And that was cool, like a little column. And then sports-wise, there's been a few good ones. But I was coaching in Wellsville, and we had a team that was going to win sectionals because we had this kid, Damon Arnold, pitching for us. And he was better than anybody, hitting, pitching. And we knew we were going to cruise and win sectionals. The teams in our bracket, we'd already played them. We'd already beat them. And his senior year, and he wanted playing in the College World Series for St. John Fisher. Great ball player. Appendix burst. So we used up our number 2 and 3 pitcher in the semis, saving Damon for the finals. So the guys pitching in the finals were like no experience, pitched a lot of JVs, arms were tired. We lost. So I just did a piece on Damon.
Wow.
Story on Damon, and a kid who didn't play. And that wound up winning story of the year for sports writing. And so that's kind of a lesson I give to other writers. don't focus so much on the game. Focus on the features, on the kids, and
Right.
don't, and I think too many people get caught up in he scored, they had an assist. Coach says it was a team effort. The other team, they're well coached, they play well, but we had what tenacity and this is coach speak. So
Right.
that was a good one. And then in terms of news, I mean,
I'll have you just lean back ever so slightly.
There was a bad. Yeah, I know, because that's why I put this up here. When I was in college, this girl, Carol Funky, her uncle Rich was a broadcaster. And
Carol Funky.
Yeah,
that's a cool
her
name.
Uncle Rich Funky's became a assemblyman, but he was the sports director on Channel 10. So, but one of her classmates were killed in a drunk driving accident in Pembroke in 1987. And that really changed the DWI laws in New York. Huge. Because, boy, back in the 80s, you could drive drunk. And it was like, hey, are you okay to drive?
Right.
And DWIs were a thing, but not really a thing. But as soon as somebody kills 4 high school kids and a driver's ed instructor during school, during the day, that's going to change laws. And she did a presentation for one of our classes on it and showed some news clips, and I had chills, and it was moving. But one of the most interesting things about the whole thing was this guy, Lyndon Goodell, who's a driver, went with this girl to Buffalo, and he claimed, they bought a bottle of Jack. They were slamming all the way back from wherever they went. And he swears this day, this girl was like, dude, I can't get in trouble. You got to say you were driving, or, and I don't know if they switched. I can't remember the details if they switched or what, but the crash was so horrendous. And he claims he wasn't driving, and all the forensic people said he wasn't driving. And it's kind of interesting because you wonder, in the way technology is today, I wonder if they could have, but one of the investigators was like, his ankle was wrapped around the steering or the driver's pedal. So he was definitely, the cops, the investigators were positive he was driving, and he gets convicted, spends time in prison. And again, the laws of New York State were changed, but during the trial, there were people out there like the OJ trial who were supporting him.
Yeah.
It was a big time. I remember this was a trial that captivated the state. So he gets out, he serves as, 25 to life, whatever. Well, he served his time and he got out. And so a reporter and I, when I was in Batavia, the Scott DeSmit, we said, let's find him.
Yeah.
And we were knocking on some doors in some shady neighborhoods that we shouldn't have. And because we were looking up, we did a lot of investigating where he last lived. And we found some of the places like prison release. So we're knocking on doors of other people who are out, murderers who are out.
Oh, geez.
And we're knocking on their doors. And, I was scared. But we did for like 2 or 3 days, we did it. And finally, we get to this house and we're convinced this is where he lives. And we go to the door and there's this dog ready to kill and couldn't get in. And then the people are like, who are you looking for? He doesn't live here. Get the hell out of here. I'll, call the cops. I'll shoot you. So we're done. We're like, this is it. This is the final dead end. And so we're leaving, and I'm so mad. He's mad. And we're just about to get in the car. And I go, hold on a second. There's one person who knows everything in town, the mailman.
Oh, yeah.
And I asked the guy, hey, do you know what Lyndon Goodell? He's like, yeah. I go, I swear he's getting mail here. He goes, he does. I go, he goes, if you go around back, there'd been a fire.
Yeah.
So you can actually go into the back of the house, and then there's these stairs. And he goes, he lives up at the top of the stairs. He goes, I only know this because I had to deliver a package there once, and it was the weird. So we went around back, and it was so creepy, the way this open kitchen was. And we went up the stairs, knocked on it, and he answered the door, and weirdest thing ever. He's got a cigarette in his hand, and I said, I'm John Anderson from the Batavia Daily News. This is Scott DeSmit, and he the whole chain link thing. Closes the door, unlocks it, opens it, and goes, I've been waiting for you guys.
Really?
Creepy as hell.
Yeah.
But that's because he wanted to tell his story. And his whole table was full of illegal drugs and stuff. And and we filmed and did it. because it was the anniversary of their death, and I wanted to tell the story about what the impact that these kids. Let's remember these kids that they changed the laws of New York State, but here's the guy who did it. It's, it's not fair. He's still living and just does drugs for a living, and got a lot of the families of the deceased didn't like it.
Yeah,
and I knew they wouldn't, but that wound up winning Investigative Piece of the Year.
Wow.
People, and the other piece we did was there's a cop who killed somebody, and he was covering up he was married, but he liked younger boys, not minors, but he had these transactional relationships with prisoners because they needed money.
Right.
And when they would get out of the county jail, he would pay them. Even though some of them were married and had kids, they would do things with him to get money to pay for diapers. And we unraveled a huge web. Right. Scott and I, we did a 4-part series. I don't know if you remember the video I did with Zach Lyman.
Yeah.
That video went crazy. So anyway, that also won a major thing. So we were, I was proud of those. And then recently, just a couple weeks ago, this is probably the most impactful thing. Like, you talk about the power of the press. So you got our silly little blog sites. Yeah. And the storm happens, and those families said, hey, the governor says, can I stand in front of your house and say, hey, everyone gets $50,000? Yeah, everyone gets $50,000. So she walked 40 yards from her SUV down to the press conference site, and then she walked back up to her SUV, and she leaves. And then people get online, and they look at the parameters. It says if you make more than, I don't know, $100,000 a year, or more than the median income of your area, you're not eligible for the $50,000.
Oh, that stuff.
So nobody was eligible, and they were like, they posted, Governor, you're in front of our house. You asked to use our house. It's broken in half as a backdrop. We have to pay your mortgage on that.
Yeah.
And we have to pay for a new place. So that $50,000 is really just a drop in the bucket, but it's going to help. And so I write the story, and I call the governor's office, and then they call me back and said, this story is inaccurate. They were not denied, and they were technically right. The website says fill your name, address, information out, and then we will review it and let you know if you get the $50,000.
Right.
So they said, we haven't denied anyone. All they've done is filled out the stuff and sent it in. The process to evaluate doesn't start for another week. But the parameters say it's $50,000 if you make this. It says what the parameters are.
Right.
So I'm ticked, and I write again another story. Now the governor's office called me, and I'm not answering their calls. I called other congressmen, senators, getting comments about this mess, and now I'm talking to more people, and the heat's really on her office. And so I had something written that didn't publish, but what I was writing is, here's what Kathy Hochul, our governor, has done.
Right.
I'm standing in line. I'm 18 years old. I'm standing in line at 7-Eleven to buy beer, and there's one person in front of me, and I've got 12-pack of beer.
Yeah.
And I look up, and the sign says, you must be 21 to buy the beer. Oh. So I start to go back to the cooler to put the beer back, and Kathy Hochul stops me. No. I didn't say you couldn't buy the beer. Get back in line.
Right.
We never said you couldn't buy the beer. We haven't denied you buying the beer. What are you doing? Oh. So I get back in line with my beer. Then the person checks out. I put my beer on the counter. Here you go. Are you 21? No. You can't have the beer.
Right.
That's essentially what the state website, that's what they were telling me. We haven't denied anybody yet. Well, yeah, that's because we haven't put the beer on the counter yet. But as soon as you open up the funding, so they're calling me, I'm not answering. I get an email the next morning that says, we have changed it. If the families combined make 120,000 or some of 160,000, because you think about it, if you have two teachers making 50 or 60,000, you're ineligible. But now it went up to 160, but then it also went up 150% above the median income.
Okay.
So if the average is in Canasteo is 60,000. Again, it's going to go up to well over 120,000. And I'm thinking, yay, these 4 families, they're going to get their 50,000. I felt really good about myself. Then we get an email from some people in Long Island, in St. Lawrence County, who had flooding. And they're like, thank you. We are ineligible for that. But their median income in Long Island, this one community is like 675,000.
Right.
Times 150%. They were now eligible for the 50,000. People up in St. Lawrence. So you're talking about fishing up there.
Yeah.
So you know that area.
Yep.
They had hit the storm too. So that's when I'm like, wait a minute. This website isn't just for Canasteo and
It's for the
what
state.
else? It's for the whole. We just changed. We just changed a parameter for the entire state from whenever there's. It's like, man, all these years of this journalism thing. It's like, this made an impact, man.
Yeah.
This is pretty darn cool. So,
Well, I was just going to ask you.
am I done?
No, I was just going to ask you, do you think that there's still room for journalists and journalism, even though print media is kind of dying out? I mean, it's just online. It just moved the medium a bit.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's still time to tell stories. Journalists keep people honest.
Yeah.
Especially government agencies, school boards, and all that good stuff. But I mean, you can hide behind an executive session all day long. Everyone does it. It's a game. I know the questions to ask, and sometimes the lawyers are like, he's right. We can't go in an executive session for this. But the only thing that helps you is when you have a whistleblower in executive session that says, we can't be talking about this. And I remember when Bob Sobek was a legislator, he wouldn't even go into executive session. Or the caucuses. He goes, this is garbage. He goes, they're doing all the work of the county behind everyone's back. He goes, I'm staying out here. If I have a question, I'm going to ask it in front of everybody. I admired Bob for that. But I also think it's important, like journalists can kind of transition, like covering the county meetings for the county or for the school. Yes, it's not going to be negative, but we need to get the word out there about our taxes, new programs, what's happening, new mayors. Yeah, you really, everything. Well, even the village, what's happening with the budget. The village is pretty
Movie theater.
The movie theater. Yeah, I think that's a kind of transition where I think more municipalities need to be hiring more people to do writing, even to put together fun TikToks and videos and highlight a student of the month or an employee of the month for the school, and
I was just talking to the director of the David A. Howe, Nick Gunning, and he said there's a girl, one of the employees named Corey there, who just won, I don't know what the exact award was, but she just won for like a social media content or advocacy award in all of the Southern Tier library systems. So out of 48, some of these libraries are massive.
Yeah.
Like David A. Howe, she won.
Yeah.
And she's like a very young 20-something-year-old girl who's just dominating.
Yeah.
Right now. But do you think that's where the shift in journalism is where it's not necessarily written word now, it's more...
So that's what I'm teaching kids at Alfred State right now. Yeah. There's no radio station there. There's no newspaper. I'm teaching them how to tell a story in 90 seconds.
Yeah.
Using captions, using videos. And again, I have to talk to my kids all the time.
Yeah.
When you're in your 20s, but I also study reels. I'm looking at reels on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. What makes me stop and watch? Because I'm not just marketing to kids. I'm marketing to everybody.
Yeah.
That's why I think being a journalist is tough, because you can't just market. You want everyone to read from 18 to 88,
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to find ways to tell a story, whether it's a sports or news that's interesting and quick. Long form journalism still has its place.
Yeah.
There's times you want to sit down and read a long piece. It's interesting to you, but this is something that, that's absolutely the way of the future. We want to see our story in 90 seconds and move on.
Yep.
And we want to see it accurate. I don't like opinions. There's a lot of people who purport to be news and they're not. They're entertainment.
So those kids that are going to school right now for journalism, what's your biggest piece of advice to them? And I think you've said it quite a few times. You said, because you talked about how you wanted to go out to New York Times right from college.
I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to say. Other than just know your worth, I think is the big thing. A lot of people, you probably see this in your business all the time.
My cousin has an iPad and they can film this.
Right, exactly. Well, I did wedding photography for a while until I couldn't afford to.
Yeah.
You know, it's like everyone's your buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Steve Pettinati.
Can you tell him to come on the
You
show?
should. You know what, Steve's such a nice guy.
Yeah.
And he talks to these kids who he had, oh, Mr. P, I'm getting married and we have no money. You know a photographer? I know a guy. Hey, John, they don't have much money. Probably 200. And it's like, all right, Steve, I'll do it since you asked me to. But no, a lot of that's kind of an unfortunate thing. You know, they'll look at the work that you've done with some of your stuff with drones or videos, and it's like, oh yeah, Nick, I'll pay you $400 for that. But someone else who's not as good as you is in Rochester, Buffalo, New York City. Oh, we'll pay them $4,000.
Yeah.
What? So it's like, know your worth. And one of the things that I'm working with I make sure these college kids are getting paid when they do these jobs. I'm going to tell them, this will look good on your resume.
Yeah.
No, just stop. You know, I get that all the time now. You know, hey, John, this is going to help your career.
Oh.
I'm like, really? I go,
drives me crazy.
I'm pretty sure I've screwed up my career to the point where it can't be saved. So anything I do for you for free isn't going to help me. So that's the way
To close this out, John.
Yeah.
Close this out. I just want to count how many jobs you have right now. Because I know it's a lot.
I did it again.
You did.
Sorry. It's because it's always changing.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things I've had the most fun with is working with PLB Sports and like with Doug Flutie, and now with
that's what you're talking about, the cereal stuff, right?
Yeah, Josh Allen's coffee and cereal, and Josh is great. And to run a commercial shoot with Josh Allen, and Josh just do everything I tell him for an hour and a half was just. I was driving up to the shoot last year, and I was so organized. I had everything to the minute. His agent approved it. Josh loved the ideas. I had the camera crew in place, video people, props, everything I needed. And I'm still nervous. Like, I'm going to screw this up. And I'm driving Couriers, the Couriers Road, and it cuts up to the 219. And I get to that 4-way stop. And I'm the fourth car. There's 3 other cars in there all stopped. So, it's right away. So I'm last. I'm thinking everyone's going to go first. They all looking at me wide-eyed. I'm like, what? And they're like, go. I'm like, go? They must know I have to get to this Josh Allen commercial. So I drive through the light, and I'm like looking like, why are they all? And so I go back to thinking, okay, I got to make sure don't screw this up. And I look in my rearview mirror, and this trooper's got his lights on. He's like, dude, he goes, I know you're not on your phone, but this is the biggest case of distracted driving I've ever seen. I was like, I am so sorry. Like, I didn't even see he had his lights on, because it goes from like 55 to 45 to 55 to 35 in that little stretch.
Yeah.
So it was kind of but then Josh is just incredible. Like, hey, we're going to do that. Okay. And then we'll walk around, we're talking, and
wait, hold on. What happened with the police officer? Did you get a ticket?
Yeah, he gave me a speeding ticket.
Oh, well.
Yeah. He didn't give me.
Did you tell him that you were just going to go film Josh?
Oh, yeah. I said it's for Oshai. This is all. Josh takes every dime and sends it. We sent right to Oshai's Children's Hospital.
Yeah.
Some athletes will take a cut, and then you ever see a portion of proceeds go to charity. Not Josh Allen. It all goes to. He doesn't even want to see it. Just send it right to the hospital in memory of. He's awesome. But a lot of athletes are like that. It's not just Josh. I told him, and he's like, "Oh, that's great. Here's your ticket." So, but that's another thing I teach kids too: how to plead not guilty, and then DA day you talk, and then suddenly, you get a parking ticket, no points. But anyway, but Josh was just wonderful. I tried to keep it. We're under contract. We have it for 2 hours. I was trying to keep it to an hour. It went an hour and a half, and so we're done. And Josh is looking around at the people who are filming, people from Wegmans, people from the coffee company. Anyone want photos? Any more autographs? So I was like, yeah. So another 25 minutes of signing.
I have a Josh Allen jersey. Think you can get a sign for me?
I'll just give you one. So I said to Josh, I was like, Josh, listen, man, you didn't have to stay and sign stuff and do photos. That's not part. Everyone here was here to work. And he goes, I love this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, this is our quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, what a guy. Like, it's cool to get to know some of these athletes and entertainers. Like Kane Brown is a great guy, the country singer. Just so many, Stephon Diggs, super person. But so that part, and now with Eric Jones, we're doing shirts for like Buffalo Joe, Keon Coleman.
Yeah.
And we also just signed with Sporticulture. So when you go into Walmart or Kohl's and you see like a Bills chair or things, this is the company that does it. Now Eric is going to be doing designs and stuff for Sporticulture who have a license with the NFL. And they just sent us a list of NFL players and retired players who want caricatures. And Josh is on the list. And so this is really, so that's kind of exciting stuff. But I just got done as the editor of the Daily Iberian in Louisiana. I did that for over a year remote.
Okay, there's 1, 2.
Yep. But now I'm working in North.
Also Sun, obviously 3.
In the Hornell Sun. And
Hornell Sun.
But I've got newspaper, the News Monitor in Minnesota
4.
and the Daily News in North Dakota. I'm
6.
running those.
Oh, Dakota.
It is. It's funny to hear them talk like that. So I'm working
Alfred State.
Yeah, I'm over at Alfred State. There's a company that I'm blog writing for. They pay me the first of the month. Thank you. And then I'm managing 2 different companies' social media pages for their business and building that. Come on, man. There's got to be other things that I'm doing.
Oh, I didn't count Tom Jones as a bookie. That's 10 right now.
Yeah.
Well, plus you got John Anderson Media.
Yes.
Facebook page.
Yes. And actually a website, my son Nick just set up my website, johnandersonmedia.com. Well, he was trying to give me a coupon code for like HelloFresh. And he's like, you're just email. You need your own John at John Anderson. And I was like, and he sets it up for me. And so I'll be starting my own website.
I felt like I officially was a company owner when I had my own like Nick at GeneseeValleyMedia.com.
It's the name Nick.
Huh?
It's the name Nick. This whole thing when you talk about like my kids, this whole thing reminds me of the newspaper.
Yeah.
My kids played sports. Nick does music. And I always told the guys in the newsroom, unless the photo of my kids is the best one, don't use it. Because I never wanted people to say, oh, his kid's in the paper because he's the editor.
Yeah.
And the family hates me for that. Nick's first start on varsity comes up from JVs halfway through the year. We got a losing record. We're playing Hornell, number 1 in the state. Their pitcher wound up pitching AA or AAA for the Dodgers organization.
Yeah.
And their catcher was all world at St. Bonaventure. We were out of pitching. Nick throws a 3-hitter, and we upset Hornell. Nick doesn't lose again. We win sectionals. Headline was in the nick of time with the photo of somebody else. And then on his 16th birthday, I remember he struck out 16 on his 16th birthday. And it said Sweet 16, a picture of somebody else. And I'm thinking, man, they're taking my advice to another level here.
Right.
That poor kid. And same with my daughter. She wasn't, until she was playing basketball at Alfred State, then they were sending out press releases with her photo. And so she was finally in the paper. But it's the same with his band. Billboard has done stories on the Rex.
Yeah.
And Song Favorite Liar has... But I don't know, on Spotify alone, maybe 58 million streams. But you've never heard about them in the local papers here. Not once has he been written about.
What was his original band?
Exit Plan.
Exit Plan. I almost said Damage Plan, but that was Dimebag Darrell. R.I.P.
That was Nick, when it's your kid.
Yeah, 56 million.
They're the best in the world. What's that?
56 million.
Just on Spotify.
Yeah, just on Spotify.
So when you look at all the other streaming channels, I'm going to find out what that is. It's not a gold record. It's a something record. But anyway, you always think your kid's the best, whether potty training.
Well, 1 million's platinum.
Yeah, I'll figure out what it is. But you always think your kid's the best at everything, no matter what they're doing. And when the high school band started, I was like, these guys are good. And and he was like, oh, we're okay, blah, blah. But we went to a battle of the bands in Portville. Mm-hmm. So you had bands from Portville and Olean and then us. So you pay $5 to get in, you get a red 50-50 ticket. And they had 4 glass jars, and you put your ticket in the jar of the the band that does the best. So Nick asks me to set up his merch table. This is like the only time I've ever worked for him, by the way. I do not manage the Rex. I don't do PR for them. I don't do anything. Social media, Nick wants me nowhere near. I'm actually on information probation. I know he's got a song coming out soon. They got an album. They'll be doing a huge tour soon. Yeah. I don't know where, when, or anything. His mom probably knows. His sister definitely knows. I don't know anything.
If you want information, go to his mom.
Yeah, Casey knows everything. So, as she should. She's she's this, and so that's why she does so well at the school. Working at the school, she doesn't say anything. So, but he gets on, or they're getting ready to start. And so I get this table. I have like 4 CDs and a shirt and a couple of wristbands, and I look at the jars, and they're filled with the band from Portville and the band from Olean. Everyone already voted before they even started.
Right.
So they had none in theirs, so they were the last band to go. And Nick just told the guys, we're going to play our originals, but before we do our original final, let's do Fat Lip by Sum 41.
Yeah.
And he got everyone to get out of their auditorium seats. He's like, are we at a concert? What is this? This isn't some assembly at the school. He's like, everyone get up here to the front of the stage. And they all rush to stage. And Tyler Cornell gets on the piano bench and does a backflip. And then Jesse was a drummer, and Jimmy Dixon, and Jimmy, I remember, was flinging wristbands, Exoplan wristbands. And then Jesse starts throwing T-shirts in the crowd, and it was like, oh my God. And then Nick is going over and like, reaching his arm out, and the girls are reaching up to touch his hand, and he's singing. Then he jumps in the audience and he's singing, and everyone's bouncing, and he's making everyone do. And it felt like it was, oh my God, this is a rock show. We didn't just come to some stupid school thing. This is like legit, man. We're moshing. We're, there's no teachers telling us we can't dance and mosh pit. And they felt for one shining moment, these kids were at a festival.
Yeah. So
thing gets over, and I'm thinking they're all going to be, cheering. They all leave. I was like, why? They killed it. Why are these people leaving? They went out and took their tickets out of their jars and put it into his jar.
Wow.
And they won. They won $500.
Wow.
They wowed over an entire crowd who was not there to see them win. They all wanted to see their friends win. Mm-hmm. That's when I realized, I think this kid's got something.
Yeah.
I think he's on to something. And so gets out to, he actually went to San Diego City College to play baseball, pitched a hell of a fall. It did outstanding pitching in college, and it was on Let's Make a Deal, which was funny. And then he calls us after his first semester and said, hey, by the way, I got named #1 pitcher for the spring. We're like, great, yeah. And I'm quitting college. What? I'm going to LA. I'm going to live on this guy's couch, and I want to start this music.
What was it? I remember it was Ryan Seacrest or someone was talking about it. The Hills cover. Right.
Yeah, he did that. He kind of created a fake band. It was just him, and his friends didn't know how to. Some of them didn't even know how to play these instruments, and they faked it. And he did a video, and it got like #1 video on Z100. And again, it was something fun that he did that just showed his talent back then. That he could just make a cover, make a video, and it blows up. And so when the Rex were started, his manager at the time. Had all these talented musicians around the country, and they're from Long Island, New York City, Wisconsin, and they all came together and started the band, and literally had 3 songs. And Nick, and this is the best part. Well, you should have him on your podcast. Tell this. So, but he was.
I think he's too big for this.
Yeah, he would do this if Eric Jones does this. Eric's bigger than Nick. He knew a girl who was house sitting. Yeah. Because the owner had a diabetic cat. Oh. So she calls Nick and says, hey, I know you're looking for someone to record your album. This guy's got a recording studio at his house. And he's like, oh, I'm sure it's like this little den. He's got a couple. No, it was a full recording studio outside the house. And so him and Andrew D'Angelo, who's the guy who was working with this producer, they go over there. And I think they were going to do 5 songs. They get 3 done. And she calls, goes, you got to get out of there. The ex-wife misses the diabetic cat. She's coming to stay because the guy was in Europe. Yeah. So they start packing up all the, the microwave meals, the mac and cheese, ramen noodles. They're dumping everything into the backpacks, cleaning up, and they see her lights coming around the long driveway, and then they go out the other door and they're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did it. We did it. They get back. Oh my God, that was so fun. We got 3 songs done at least, right? They go, yeah, let's listen to them. And then Andrew's like, we didn't download them off the computers. So Andrew in all black with his vape sneaks back in and with his external drive just in there, just downloading the songs and gets out of there. And because his manager's got Favorite Liar to Alt Nation, to this DJ, like, hey, you might want to hear this. Just what do you think? And the guys in the band were just learning the songs. Like they were literally just learning them. And the thing just hits the DJ's like, I got to play this on our advanced placement show. Like, you know, just, hey, this is new music. And people were just going crazy. And the thing just, next thing you know, it's on the charts.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my gosh, now they're touring with a band, Nothing But Thieves. It's a signed band with Sony. And they're touring on 3 songs.
Yeah.
So he's like playing, there's songs that he isn't playing anymore, but he like had to increase it to 5 or 6. And the thing just kept blowing up. And then, James Dean.
Yep.
That Spider Harrison on Hits 1. That was his favorite song. And that gets on the top 40 charts. The song Freaking Out. That was I think the number 1 charted song for Sirius XM for 2019. And one of the NHL teams used it for their pump up song. And the song, I believe it's on the NHL 2020, the Xbox game. And so like all these songs, but I think he's probably had 15 songs that have been on the radio. Like, so it's kind of a cool.
The acoustic version of Normal is the best one.
Oh my gosh. Does that make you, someone should put that to a movie.
I know. John, this just
I'm proud of you guys for doing that.
It went pretty big.
You know, the actors you had, your film work. I told you this, you know. You guys already did the whole thing on the Kate was on. Yeah. The name of the film was
You Are Not Alone.
You're Not Alone. But one of the things, and I said this, if you watch it again, and I know you did the thing at the library my mom went to, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I was out of town. I couldn't go to that. But she is alone and she's walking into the music alley, and just the way other people walk by her and someone's in the window putting things together, the way Nick as a producer captured that, I thought that was my favorite part. That made me realize she's almost like a ghost, like that Bruce Willis movie where he was dead. Sixth Sense. Yeah. It was almost like Sixth Sense. Like she's walking through Wellsville and people don't see her, and she recognizes, nobody sees me. I'm a nobody. Mm-hmm. You know, why am I living? Why don't I just take my life? And that. I thought the end of the movie was going to be her killing herself because that, and then of course, everyone's kid's the best, right? Well, damn it. That song that Nick did, Normal. Yeah. And, you know, it's not BS. You look at the comments and the things that people write about that song. Mm-hmm. That song resonates with so many people who are going through depression, anxiety, or just not feeling like, you know, I just want to see the world like everyone else does. I just want to fall in love like everyone else does. Why is it so hard for me? Why can't I be normal? And I think everyone feels that in some capacity. And the fact that he just sat down at a piano and played it with. So if you do see the Rex live, by the way, when they do that now, he does it acoustic. Yeah. And then at the end, the band, he does like 2 acoustic songs. So the band takes a break. They go get, because these guys are working their butts off while Nick just sits there and sings. So he sits there and he's playing the guitar and just a light on him. But you know how the end kind of gets a little louder and everything? Yeah. One by one, the band members come back on stage from the break. Cool. And then by the end, the entire band is just jamming Normal. And it's really, and then it transitions into a song where everyone's dancing again and having a good time at the concert. So that's just, it's a hell of a song. And you guys putting it to to that movie. And then that movie just, man, it's taking you guys to New York City, and probably could have taken you to other countries if you could have afforded it, for France, awards, but
LA, it's premiering.
Yeah. Still. No, the acting in that. And again, that was all done here. Yeah. Hello. It's like, Doesn't matter where you're from. And that's one thing I've learned from Nick. Every town in America has talent. It's just you get your lucky break, and that's he got a break. Mm-hmm. Somebody heard his song, they liked it, they played it. But I've gone to the musicals here. Even Annie, the middle school kids here, incredible. The Willy Wonka, incredible. Every community, Scioto, Whitesville, Fillmore, Wellsville, just the talent is incredible. Singing, I see the musicians. Mm-hmm. I see these kids playing music. There's no shortage of talent. I'm sorry, it doesn't matter. So what? You didn't get famous. Doesn't mean you're not tremendous.
Right.
And it's kind of like what you guys did. You don't have to live in New York City to produce a film that wins best in the state or best in the nation. It's pretty darn cool. So anyway, there's that.
John, I appreciate you coming on. I think the biggest thing that I learned about you is you just don't like talking about yourself. You dodged every time I asked you a question. You'd answer it really quick, and you'd go right on to someone else. But I really appreciate you coming on. I want you to have fun in all your 20 jobs that you have going on.
It's not to say I'm not going to slow down and do one. I just don't know what I want to do when I grow up.
Yeah, there's still time.
Listen, I'm having fun, right?
Yeah.
I before I started the podcast, I dropped my mom off at the senior center.
Yeah.
Like at 10 o'clock in the morning. I have the freedom to do that. I have the freedom to go see my son, but yet bring my laptop and work or go, see Brendan's kids and Jordan's kids. It's awesome. Like it's a kind of a cool life. It sucks to have to work so many jobs, but you got to do what you got to do to live here.
Yep.
It's a great place to live. I was like, I'm telling you, when I was in Texas, first time I went to the supermarket, walking around Brookshire's, I go through the produce aisle, I go down the cereal aisle, I go in the meat. Nobody's talking to me.
Yeah.
I was like, do you guys know who I am? I was like, I can't.
John fucking Anderson.
I can't go to Giant Food Mart. People will say, hey, what's going on with that? What's Mike Raptis doing with that building?
Yeah.
Or, hey, great story on this guy, or what's happening with this, and what's going on with the movie theater? What's the real story? And I appreciate that. Or just catch up somebody that I coached, or somebody that I coach with, or or a teacher. It's cool to bump into people and you sit there sometimes and say, man, I can't get out of there. It took me, but when you don't have it, you realize how special it is.
Yeah. You're a big fish in a little pond.
It's a kind of a cool thing, it's not the worst thing in the world. But I don't know where life's going to take me. I'm sure I'll be gone again at some point, but right now I'm enjoying here, and I'm enjoying telling, like I said, stories about people. And I love that people wake up in the morning and look at the Wellsville Sun, which kind of brings it back to what you said about websites. People are, they want to see interesting stories and good news. And same reason why they look at your videos and podcasts. It's like, you never know you pick the most random days to fly that drone. Mm-hmm. And it's the most beautiful. Like I would say, I would never. Oh, it was a dark, drab day, but man, set it to a little music, and it's like, this is cool.
The wildfires one, that was my most viral thing.
Yeah, huge.
60 seconds,
bingo,
went worldwide.
Now you're getting phone calls.
Kevin White. But, all right, John. Thank you so much for coming on.